Right, hey guys, how are we doing? So, I said when I reacted to AniNews' video on what Tower of God is and why it's so hyped that I really hoped he'd do the cut content video that he mentioned, and lo and behold, we've got Tower of God cut content. What did the anime change? Episode 1. There's a good reboss because I thought episode 1 was like really slow and a bit off-putting, but when I watched episode 2 and onwards, I'm like, every week now I'm waiting for a new episode. I'm like, ah! So, I'm intrigued to see what is actually being cut or changed or moved around in the first episode. Let's find out.
In a world as complex as Tower of God, every little detail behind the settings or the characters serves some purpose.
Right.
The webtoon goes to great lengths to develop this fantastical environment. They present us with a story that's shrouded by mystery, then slowly revealed.
It does seem like a lot going
on. A lot
on.
of this development that helps to enrich the mystery we soon become captivated by takes place in the early chapters.
Yeah.
Lucky for us, most of it is covered in the anime. But just like with any other adaptation, there's some stuff that isn't.
Right.
So, just like how we did with Shield Hero or Goblin Slayer, allowing
Goblin Slayer cut content was great, man. It was so good.
Showcase what exactly didn't make it to the end.
Learning the story of the
this new series
what the blind priestess was actually doing in the background.
The most complete Tower of God experience that you can get. Episode 1.
Alright.
Covering Chapter 0 to Chapter 5 of the webtoon.
Alright, okay.
Right from the beginning, we were given Rachel's motivations for entering the tower. She was unhappy with the dark world that she currently lived in. All she wanted was nothing more than to bear witness to the sky that she'd only ever heard about in legend.
She wants to see the stars, man.
After Rachel disappears into the gate, Bam awakes to find himself not far behind. He was in the tower, but the context behind how he got there wasn't quite given. We know from Head On that Bam is considered to be a type of visitor. A person who wasn't specifically invited to enter the tower.
Irregular, is that what they call it?
We learn that he forcibly opened the gate to the tower himself.
Right.
An occurrence that didn't happen very often.
Oh, okay, cool.
But when it did, that person would become known as an irregular.
Right, yeah, there we go.
Now, when Head-On introduces himself, he wasn't yet aware of who Bam was. You see, unlike how the anime implied, we don't know for sure if Rachel came through this same area. So instead we see Head-On ask for Bam's name, from which we learn it's the 25th Bam.
25th
Bam.
Bam.
That simply refers to the day he was born.
Oh, okay.
Bam being a Korean word that literally translates to night.
Oh,
Bam then asks
cool.
Head-On if he'd seen Rachel, but Head-On didn't really give a clear answer. All he could say was that Bam's and everyone else's answers awaited at the top of the tower. If he was in search of
it's the whole point of the tower, isn't it? Like, whatever you're looking for is up there.
Literally anything and everything is at the top. Be it money, immortality, power, or magic, every dreamer
power or magic just irons both times.
And that seemed to be the absolute truth to this world. But climbing the tower wasn't something so easily accomplished.
Of course not.
Each floor had an administrator, and each administrator gave a test that needed to be passed. Only by passing that test could you prove that you were qualified to make your way to the next floor.
That was an interesting test.
Bam was currently on the first floor, and just as you'd expect, Head-On was its administrator. His test had rather simple rules. In order to pass, all Bam had to do was break the ball guarded by the giant white armored eel.
Yes.
A type of fish that lives in the Shinsu which flows around the tower. We don't learn yet what this Shinsu is.
Yeah, like I was mentioning in like episode 3, is it? Where he's like, nah, there's too many people, you need to get through it.
Which is pretty impressive considering it's a substance we find out is difficult to deal with in high concentrations.
Yeah.
Now, there appeared to be some ulterior motive with Head-On's words. He started to detail the aggressive nature of the eel Bam would be fighting, as if he was trying to scare Bam away from the test.
Yeah, like, don't even bother me.
He made it clear that the eel was fast, it was strong, and it was hungry. For all Bam knew, Rachel could already be dead and he would just be risking his life for nothing. Those were the things that Head-On wanted Bam to think about.
Jesus,
he was testing Bam's very purpose.
Yeah, like, do you really want to find it that bad?
Enough to overcome the fear of certain death.
I like that, that's cool.
If not, then he should just leave now. Bam heard these words clearly, but he knew if there was even the slightest chance for him to see Rachel again, then
do anything.
He would take it.
Yeah.
So, without hesitation, Bam charged forward. That's when we switched to a cutscene involving Yuri and Evan. This could be covered in a flashback later, but since we're going in the order of the webtoon, I'll cover it now.
Okay, cool.
It's in this scene that we get our first glimpse into the parts of the tower that allow travel between the floors.
Oh, cool!
Yuri was trying to get to the first floor because she just heard that an irregular had entered. Usually these people are very strong, so much so that they are often feared by others. In the past, they were beings who possessed enough power to shake the very foundations of the tower. So, an irregular entering right now was nothing short of a big deal. That's why Yuri wanted to see who this new potential monster could be.
Cool.
But when she finally got to the first floor, there wasn't anything spectacular to be seen. All there was a simple
Bam.
human boy. He was nothing close to the other regulars like Urek or Phantominio. Yuri wondered if perhaps this boy had some secret power like metamorphosis. But Evan could only comment on how normal Bam looked. Sure, he looked a bit agile, but there was absolutely nothing unusual about him. That's why when they saw that the test was the ball guarded by the white armored eel, they thought for sure it would be impossible for someone as weak as Bam. It became clear that Head-On was trying to get Bam to back down or bail. The test was just too overwhelming. Yuri's reasoning for the situation was that she believed Head-On disliked the chaos that irregulars brought to the tower. I mean, this type of test was typically reserved for those above the 20th floor.
Really?
And even then, this one was still a harder variation to it.
Oh, wow.
On the other hand, Yuri didn't seem to mind this chaos at all.
Jesus Christ.
She looked as if she yearned for the type of excitement an irregular could bring. So, when she saw that Bam was still going to take the test, even though the odds were
What difference is it going to make for
she
like,
couldn't
everything?
resist dropping in to lend a hand. You see, this whole time Yuri and Evan were watching Bam from above.
Oh.
That's how they were able to make their timely entrance.
Oh, that's why she... Right, okay, that makes so much more sense.
Bam couldn't understand what Yuri was saying without using what's known as a pocket. Apparently, it was the job of the administrator to distribute this tool, but Head-On said that he simply forgot to, which was rather odd considering he's supposed to be the oldest administrator within the tower.
Oh, wow,
Regardless, it was a tool that Bam needed to have, so Yuri called Evan down from where they were to give him one. At first, Evan was pretty reluctant, because assisting Bam would be against the tower rules. Even being at the first floor was something that could get them into a lot of trouble with the king. But as Yuri's navigator, they were pretty much a team, and since Yuri was already down there, it didn't really matter anymore. Plus, Evan had a couple extra pockets that Bam could use. Typically,
fair enough, there we go.
Like Bam would receive an E rank pocket. Lucky for him,
so they're
Evan
ranked
and
as well.
Yuri were high-ranked rankers, which is the title given to people who have already ascended to the tower.
Right.
That being the case, the only pockets on them at the time were of the A rank. Now, the reason these pockets even have a rank to begin with is because they do a lot more than simply translate different languages to the common tongue of Mexis. You could say it was every person's key to survival.
Right, okay.
But that alone wasn't going to be enough to pass the test. The skill gap was still far too high. You see, Bam was different from any of the other irregulars, so it wasn't fair to test him at what Head-On considered to be appropriately leveled. So, because Yuri was making such a big fuss out of it, that's when Head-On decided to mix things up a bit.
Yeah?
He suggested loaning the Black March to Bam. Now, Yuri didn't just give it to him because of his cute face, though. Just like how Head-On did, she first questioned his determination and resolve.
Oh, wow, okay, because that was a bit of a
prepared for the
stupid
worst.
thing, wasn't it? Like, you got a
Death
pretty face,
was more
have
than
this
likely,
sword.
But it also wasn't something he feared. What Bam feared was something far worse than death. And that's exactly what Yuri saw. So, she had no issue with lending out the Black March.
Right, fair enough, cool.
The Black March
What are all
was
these other
a
weapons she's
special
got,
type
though?
of weapon. At its core, it's what's known as a needle, mainly used to stab and pierce. And this particular needle was the strongest out of all of them. It originated from a collection known as the 13-month series,
Yes.
created by the famed blacksmith Ashel Adwaru.
That's what we got
But
explained in
even
episode
with this
4,
great
isn't it?
weapon,
When she's
Bam's likelihood of success
using the
was
April...
only marginally better.
Green April?
The weapon can only ever be as good as the wielder. And the difference in strength between Bam and the eel wasn't going to change even with the Black March. There was, however, one way to pass the test. Evan, whose natural position was a guide, was able to easily figure it out. It pretty much consisted of what we saw. Rather than try to run past the eel or fight it head-to-head, the best option
Attack
was
it from
to
inside!
feign helplessness. This appearance of willing defeat would result in the eel choosing to swallow Bam whole, giving him the opportunity to strike from a position where the eel couldn't defend. Normally, any other weapon wouldn't do much damage to the eel. But because Bam now had the Black March, a solid strike could go so far as to render the creature
It's class,
unconscious.
that.
This would give Bam enough time to get to the ball and break it. But Evan didn't share these details with Bam, even though he knew it was the only path long before the test had even started. You see, the guide's job was to only show the path to those who were capable of walking it.
Oh.
And to Evan, he didn't think that anyone, let alone Bam, was capable of doing this. only someone insane would allow themselves to be swallowed by such a fearsome creature.
Mm-hmm.
So, rather than letting him die with the false hope that he could pass the test, he instead decided to let Bam choose his own path. A path that he assumed was going to result in Bam running around for hours before realizing his efforts were.
So they all see something in Bam straight away, don't
Yuri
they?
would just step in and save him. Evan pretty much wanted Bam to discover his own limits and weaknesses. At least by doing that, Bam would still be alive. So, of course it came as a shock when he saw that Bam not only had the courage and determination to walk the right path, but also the intuition to figure it out on his own. It became clear to all that losing the one he was in search of was a fear that drowned out all the others. But even after all of that, Bam's power alone wasn't enough to shatter the wall. Normally,
The Black
no
March had to
ball from any
lend
other
him
test
something,
would
didn't
be
it?
able to withstand a strike from the Black March. Yet here Bam was struggling to even make a dent. Head-On clearly manipulated the test to make it as hard as possible.
Damn, what a bastard.
Still though, Bam never gave up.
Determination,
He pulled
man.
out the cleaver he had
He's
when
gonna
he
find
entered
Rachel.
gates and tried to hit the ball again. But that only made the cleaver shatter on impact. So, with seemingly all options exhausted, Yuri was about to intervene. That's when Evan came up with the idea to ignite the Black March. By doing so, the sword's true power would awaken and Bam would be able to shatter the ball. The thing is, not even Yuri had been able to achieve such a feat.
Oh, damn.
This is because the Black March was a sentient weapon. It's possessed by the spirit of a girl who only lends her power to those that she likes.
Nice.
And Yuri wasn't one of those people. She always did find it difficult to make a conversation with it. She found that the Black March was somewhat of a free-willed tomboy that liked to...
I like it. That's cool. It's like,
The
he's
two
mine
are
now.
actually quite similar to each other. So, Evan had a feeling that if anyone could appeal to the Black March, then it would be Bam. He wasn't quite sure why, but there was something about Bam's character that attracted people to him, and he felt that whatever it was, it could possibly work on the Black March. So, as Bam called for the Black March's help, its spirit revealed herself from the needle. And she too asked Bam what his purpose for climbing the tower
God,
was.
everyone wants to know, don't they? It's
What
like,
type of desire was pushing him forward? The most common answer.
And they're all intrigued. They're like, okay.
But when Bam said that he was only looking for Rachel, even the Black March was confused as to what he meant. Was this Rachel some sort of jewel, a position of power, or perhaps one of the most beautiful...
Yeah, he's not being very descriptive in what he's looking for. It's like, I'm just want to find Rachel. Oh, okay,
To Bam,
cool.
she was simply a precious friend that he wanted to see once more. Now, even though it was a boring reason, the Black March found an interest in the young boy standing in front of him.
Of course, everyone finds an interest in Bam, apparently.
For the first time, the Black March ignited. What this meant was that the needle's power increased to the point that it was able to shatter the ball.
Boom.
But the way that the ball burst wasn't anything like Yuri had seen before. There was something that Head-On did to it that made it different from the others. He was clearly planning something, though that plan remains completely shrouded by mystery. There were a few hints though as to what it could entail and who could be involved.
Yeah?
The first was that the test he prepared for Bam had a difficulty equivalent to the value of his wish. So, considering the extreme difficulty of this initial test, this could imply that there's more at stake with Bam's wish than perhaps even Bam realizes himself.
Interesting.
The second was that after everyone was gone, Head-On appears to be talking to an unknown person. He asks that person if they watched Bam succeed, almost as if to imply that the person watching expected Bam to fail. But now that he had passed, Head-On now wanted to know what this person was going to do next. Now, the only hint we have towards this person's identity was that they are female. Other than that, it's interesting to note that someone was working with the tower's oldest floor administrator to prevent Bam from ascending. That's a detail that I think may have been worth mentioning.
Yeah, like,
Anyway,
whoa.
Before cutting straight to the next floor, there's another scene with Yuri and Evan traveling again. There was a lot of characterization involving these two that the anime decided to skip out.
So there's other stuff going on in the background as well. This is like, what?
The two were making their way to the second floor to find Bam and get the Black March back. While doing so, it seemed that Bam had left quite the impression on Evan. His unyielding determination to find Rachel made Evan think about his own past. Was he at one point during the early days of climbing the tower similar to Bam and his idealism? Or did he change somewhere along the way and to become a different person? Evan couldn't even remember anymore why he first entered the tower.
Oh, wow.
That journey was so long ago that he wasn't even sure
Why am I even here? Damn.
So he wondered if Bam would one day reach that same point. Surely this journey he was embarking on would expose him to all sorts of new...
Yeah, that's mad though, isn't it? It's like he's going there with one
Perhaps
sole
one of these
purpose.
may
Like, what
end
if
up
he leaves
straying
not
away from
even
his overall goal. Evan thought this to be
remembering his
inevitable.
goal? Wow, yeah.
Without a doubt, Bam would change along the way, much like how he and Yuri did. Anyway, the floor they were headed to was known as Evankel's floor, or the floor of test.
Cool.
It's
Floor
the
of
actual
test.
floor that all chosen regulars go to when they first enter the tower.
Right.
Its purpose is to test the qualifications of all those chosen. Only those who can pass all the tests of this floor are deemed capable of climbing the tower. So, all these tests in the early episodes aren't even part of the actual tower climb.
Right. Yeah, like they said it's preliminary, didn't he? It's like once you've got through these tests, you're actually going to start ascending the tower.
Bringing us to the end of episode 1 and to the end of our first cut content. Hopefully you all enjoyed getting to know the story of
Dude, that was boss. Please keep doing more of
If you
this.
did, be sure to let me know in the comments or leave a like so that I know how frequent to continue this series.
Every week.
Right now I'm thinking something like bi-weekly. But if these videos do well, then perhaps I can do it weekly and try to catch up to where the anime is.
Yes, weekly. Man, that was boss. That was so cool. Like, there's someone talking to the floor dude at the end of the chat. Like, whoa. So there's other stuff going on as well that's not been put into the anime. And intrigue. Like, I hope he does them every week. If he does them every other week, it's fine. My problem with the cut contents when you start watching them is that, like, I find the further that they come out after the original release of the episode, I find them quite annoying, because then you're trying to remember what happened. When it's closer to it, it's fine. I feel like if he does these weekly now, he's only going to be 4 episodes behind, because I think episode 5 goes up tomorrow at the time we're recording this, so then it'd only be like 4 episodes behind each one. But hey, you know, whatever, I'm still going to watch them as they come out. But anyway, that was cool, and thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What did you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave comments down below, let me know if you watch future videos, and I'll see you guys. I saw you guys. There's them.